Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the no show. Welcome to the no show. Honest to goodness, listen. I made a show for you guys called the Fugazi Empire, and I downloaded it onto accidentally downloaded it onto my other channel, the Delta Report. So you guys get no show today. No soup for you. All you got to do is sit here and listen to me ramble on for a little bit about what's going on out there. You know, I'm going to tell you guys what. What a mess the world is. We got cyber attacks going on in the United States of America. We got diseases are rampant. You know, we've got weather phenomenon that's going crazy. The weather's going crazy all over the world. China, I was looking at video over there in China, what's going on. Flood. Oh my goodness, what an amazing flood. The whole city of, I can't pronounce the name, Zhangzhou or something like that. But I looked it up on the internet and I seen how many people live there. Over 10 million people live in that city in China. And you know what? The vehicles are floating down the street. Weather phenomenon. You got to watch out for weather phenomena. We're just entering into the hurricane. I hate to think what the hurricane season is going to be like. You know, there's places down in Louisiana last year. They got hit by not just one hurricane. I know what it's like to get hit by a hurricane, not have your power on, and you don't know what's going on. Years ago, we got hit by a hurricane called Hurricane Guan. And I was in my shop in the middle of the night when that thing was hitting. And it just so happened there's an area in the shop, where it's like a little wind cove where there's like not a lot of wind, and there's an upper story door I could open up into the storm where the wind wouldn't rush in by the way the wind angle was going at the building and stuff. But I opened that door up and I looked out into the night. And the trees were bending sideways. It was a steady, about a 80, 90 mile per hour wind. So the next day I went out and looked around, drove my car around the neighborhood a little bit. Almost every tree was flattened. Trees uprooted everywhere. The power was out, during that storm. And you could see obvious tornado damage everywhere you looked. I seen a 2x4 that come off of a barn that was embedded into the ground about 4 feet deep. That had been thrown into the ground. Only a tornado can do that. Can throw a 2x4 into the ground, so half of the 2x4 is in the ground, into the hard soil. So there's a lot of tornado damage too with Hurricane Guan. Hurricane Guan did us such damage that we were like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, before they got the power restored, and they had to actually bring in the military to help us out here in this province because of the impact and damage done by Guan. So they retired the name because it did so much damage to Nova Scotia. We were a long time getting things back to normal here after that. That was a tremendously powerful storm. But anyway, so I know what it's like for these people down in Louisiana. Last year, they get belted, okay, with a hurricane. And then like 4 days later, they had another one coming. They didn't even have their power on to know the next one was coming before the next one would hit. And so what's the hurricane season going to be like this year? We still got the full weight of the hurricane season coming, but we're not out of the woods with regards to these heat waves. I'm telling you, these heat waves are almost like somebody's got a giant magnifying glass up there, and they're like when kids, how they burn ants. That's what the heat waves are like now. They're not normal. They're unnatural. They're going beyond what the human body heat index can withstand. And people are dying. They're just dropping dead from the heat. And, if you don't have an air conditioner or a place to escape it. So we got the whole month of August coming. It's probably one of the hottest months of the year coming. Plus the hurricane season's just getting underway. But that's just us. This weather phenomenon, worldwide weather phenomenon that's went screwy, is all over the whole world. They're getting heat waves over in Europe. So there's a lot of human suffering going on right now, not to count what about the financial system itself. The financial system has been mismanaged, and we did something very strange and weird back around the year 2000. Now, you guys, a lot of you remember before the year 2000, there wasn't much. The internet was just getting up and running good, you know. You remember back when the internet was like, you turn it on, run off of your telephone, and it was like, I think they call it a 56K modem, and you wanted to download a picture off of the internet, you know, it'd go click, 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 and you hear your computer clicking, those old slow 400 megahertz computers, you know, and it would slowly download a picture. You wanted to see a picture. Well, it's not that way anymore. You turn your computer on now, you want to see a picture, you click it instantly, pow. Or even video. You can download a video stream now. Like a lot of people watch things like on Netflix and stuff, you know, on their computer. And you can download a constant, beautiful picture in 4K now. But also with this, since the year 2000 till now, they've redone the entire banking system. You know, there was a time when, like, I remember back well before the year 2000, we were on vacation traveling with my father, you know, and stuff. And he had a bank account. I think it was with the one of the big Canadian banks. Might have been the Royal Bank of Canada. Anyway, he had an account down east in Nova Scotia, and they had a certain amount of money in that account. And he went to Ontario, and the Ontario branch didn't know how much money he had. They had to send it by. They had to wire it, whatever. It took a little while for him to reestablish one branch to a different branch or whatever. That's because the banks didn't communicate with each other back then like they do now. Now it's instantaneous. If you got a money in one branch, you can go to any branch you want. You could fly in an airplane across country to some other branch, and they got your funds there instantaneously. You ever wonder how they do that? That's because all your money in the bank now is all just a book entry, ledger entry. It's not real money. They don't have the cash to equal what that real money, if they tried to transfer that into cash, all of it at once, in the entire banking system, the money just doesn't exist. They haven't created it. And in fact, because people don't use cash anymore, they're whittling down the amount of cash that's out there in the system because people just use these debit cards or they use their credit card to make payments. They don't use it so much anymore. So the amount of cash in the system is less and less. Now, the way they used to do it, the banks, is they'd take your book entry, like you'd have a teller there, and she had a little bank book. She'd write it down in your bank book, and then she would transfer that also into the book of the bank, so they knew how much money you had. And each bank branch kept these separate tallies of how much money is there. That was fractional reserve banking. That's all gone out the window now. They don't even have to keep a fractional reserve anymore. Now it's all just book entries in an over-leveraged system. How they create all these book entries and keep expanding the monetary supply is they keep expanding the amount of credit that they extend. So when you see something like Wells Fargo Bank withdraw their lines of credit, this is this could be a signal for a contraction within the system. And all that money can disappear because when you withdraw credit for one person, you're affecting a dozen other people down the line who then that can spread within the system. My fear is that the entire system could actually lock up because it's all just book entries. How much could the Federal Reserve actually control some sort of a meltdown like that? Well, we're unsure because we've never been in this territory before. We've never run our financial system all online before. The entire world financial system. We're in uncharted territories at this point. And what would be the result if the entire world's financial system were to freeze? because there was some sort of contraction of credit within the system, well, everything could come to a stop because everything runs on money, or what we call money, which hasn't become money anymore. I'm going to tell you, it could have more of an impact upon the world than all of the nuclear arsenal, because everything runs on money. What do? Who knows what the result could be, but they've created just another one in a long line of potential threats for humanity. So this is an unstable world we're living in now. And what you guys have to do is, you have to try to manage in this unstable world. You have to take advantage of the situations when they present themselves. Opportunities will come along. There is opportunities. In crisis, there's always opportunities. You have to be able to adjust quickly. Think of a chameleon on a tree, you know. His whole life depends on him being able to adjust quickly. If he's on a branch that's green, he turns green. If he's on a branch that's brown, he turns brown. That's what you have to do. You have to work on your physical health. You have to work at it. It requires work. I know some people out there are not in the greatest physical health that, you know, that they could be in. But you start at your starting position right now. When I'm talking to you right now, that's your starting position. Start working on that. If you can only walk a quarter mile, which is down to the drugstore and back, if that's all you got, if you're maybe older, maybe you're 65 years old or 70 years old and you're not in the greatest of shape, maybe you can walk only a quarter mile. Well, walk your quarter mile. Don't just sit there all day long and watch TV. Get up each day and walk your quarter mile, and then what you do is you start adding an extra little bit to it every time. So first thing you know, you're walking a half a mile a day. You've improved your condition. Maybe your wind will get a little bit better. Maybe you'll be able to get your air a little bit easier. Start taking and eating the right kind of foods. Make sure each day you get something that's alive and green. What I mean by that is foods that are like not all dead and processed. You know, like processed meats, and it's all dead. There's no live enzymes in it. But now, a live piece of food would be like if you went to the store and you bought a fresh onion. You know, one of those onions that's nice and hard, you know? And if you were to slice a little bit of that on top, or maybe you don't like onion, maybe go out and get a nice fresh orange and put that into your diet. Each and every day, try to put something into your diet that's not been cooked and processed. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I think half of the population out there is borderline. They haven't got scurvy. But that's a disease that maritimers used to get when they used to sail in the ocean. They used to go long distances, and all they were eating was dead food. After about a month out there, they start to get something called scurvy. This is what your body can get. I think a lot of the population out there, all they eat all the time is like hot dogs and Jell-O. You know? And so, yeah, they're not getting something live every day. Make sure you put something live in your diet every day. Just doesn't mean a lot, but it'll keep your body in good shape. And you got to work on yourself physically, and you also got to work on yourself mentally, and you've got to create a structure in your neighborhood where you have friends. You know, you like your neighbors. You know, make friends with your neighbors. So if this system goes down, for instance, you need to have certain things on your side. Things like some real tangible money you can hold in your hand. Things like you're in a little bit better health than you used to be. I don't care what your starting position is of your health, but improve it some. Everybody can improve their health a little bit by what you eat and everything. And make friends with some people you know, and do your best in this situation that we're having coming in on us right now. Because it's coming in like a tide. And what the root cause of it is, I'm not exactly sure, but we've been going through some really what they call interesting times in the last year or two, and it seems like it's not really going away anytime real quick. We're kind of wading through this thing. How long is it going to last? I don't know. But it's hard on each and every one of us in our own way. Michael J. Fox, one of the actors out there, he got some sort of a sickness. I can't remember. I think it was Parkinson's or something like that. And he had a saying. He said, everybody carries their own bag of hammers, he said. And what he meant by that is, he meant you all have problems. You all have your own set of problems. And each person's problems is a little bit different than the next person's set of problems. But you can work on those problems. And you can straighten a lot of them out. But each person has their own set of problems that they have to work on in life. And this is life. And you guys have to weigh out the things that's good. Now, here's what I mean by that. Take a look and analyze your life. And for the next 2 weeks, don't always focus on the bad things you have in your life. Move your focus away and start to focus on the good things you have going for you. And each one of you, even though you carry your own bag of hammers, you also have, each person has some good things going for them. Focus on those good things you have going for them, and try to add to them with a positive attitude. And that's going to get you an awful long way. You'd be surprised once you decide, well, I'm not going to focus on all the bad things. I'm only going to focus on the good things I have going for me. And I'm only going to move in the direction of the good side of how I can improve my life. When you start to do that, you're going to see your life does start to improve. But it might be slow at first, and it might be a hard go. Take each day one step at a time, one little tiny baby steps long, And it'll start to work in your benefit. Thank you guys for listening to my show, even though it's not a show, because I did my show and I put it on the other channel. But I'm just doing this. I'm improvising. And this, I guess this is kind of a show, but it's 18 minutes long, so yes, I guess it is a show. Thank you guys for listening to my show. I really appreciate my audience out there. It's one of the good things I have going for me, and this is something that I practice in my real life, is focusing on the good things rather than focusing on the bad things. And it's always worked for me. Bye-bye, guys. You guys have a great afternoon.